So recently I did a video going over why car insurance in the UK is so expensive and why it is continuing to increase in terms of the premiums that people are paying just to insure their cars. After all, car insurance is a legal requirement in the UK. You can't drive any vehicle in the UK without it having insurance, without you being on that insurance as well. It is not a choice. It is not something that is a risk to be mitigated if it finds out that you're in a car accident and your car is uninsured, or if you get a speeding ticket, for example, and your car's uninsured, you're in a whole world of trouble from that point, not just from a civil point of view potentially, but also from a legal point of view too. Not fun, no bueno. But in that video, I did hint at the fact that, there are some things that can be done to actually help the UK car insurance market. And now one of the reasons why car insurance is going up so much is because of EVs and the uncertainty around how to repair them and how to ensure that they are safe. Quite literally. So because of that, it means that the repair costs go up. If the repair costs go up, then everybody else is actually ponying up to cover that effectively. And I think that is distinctly wrong. I don't think that people who don't have EVs should be paying for that. I don't think that's fair. That's a bit wrong. Just because someone wants to have an electric vehicle, I have no problem with that whatsoever. But personally, I choose not to. Therefore, I don't think it's fair that I should be paying more pounds per month just to insure my car, which is a petrol-powered car. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people will agree with that. I know some people will disagree with that. And, let's have a discussion at the end of the day. That's what I want here on the motoringchronicle.com. But I did hint at some steps that could be taken to actually improve this situation. And this is from the same article as well that I read from the other day when it comes to this, autoexpress.co.uk. Shout out to these guys for this. It's a fantastic article, and I really do think it sums things up very, very well for why we are in the mess that we are in at the moment. Here are 5 things that the UK car insurance market can do to repair itself, to make itself more fair. Let's have a look at these guys. So the first one is to do with car manufacturers from outside of Europe, specifically those in China. These emerging EV companies from places like China, India, even Vietnam these days, they're wanting to come over here and sell their cars. And the fact that their cars are not up to the same kind of standards does in fact make them not the best, really. And because of that, you also get a knock-on effect, just like with the EVs in general. A lot of these are EVs too. You get a knock-on effect with that. New brands importing to the UK need to understand how our market works and act accordingly, while the UK insurance industry needs to take a much tougher stance on any brands that don't provide effective parts or information and support. A big problem with a lot of this is the fact that if these cars come from China, for example, BYD or whatever, just using them as an example, I very rarely see them, but they are around. There's not really an effective supply chain to repair things, and so that makes things go, the insurance go up. The unknown there, the uncertainty does mean the insurance goes up for them, and again, the knock-on effect is felt by everybody. The parts is not there, the skills are not there to be able to do it. They don't have garages over here, really, I don't think either, and just making sure that these things are actually safe to go back on the roads after they've been repaired is another completely different matter too. And in the interest of fairness, high insurance group ratings and policy premiums must be applied to underwriters to directly associate with those models or brands and that can't be repaired affordably. All cover should not be offered in the first place. If you're not sure of it, don't insure it. There's that can be applied to a lot of different things. For example, right now the California wildfires, are horrible things going on there with that, and it's made even worse by the fact that a lot of these people can't afford home insurance, or home insurance will not be given with actual fire prevention, basically. So that's an example when it doesn't work, but you know what I mean. There are circumstances where it's just like, well, we're going to lose our money here, there's no point insuring it. So if you don't insure that, if you don't offer that, then other people don't have to actually make that cost as well. Battery exchanges, this is something I've heard a lot when it comes to EVs. It's ridiculous that insurers are forced to write off vastly expensive EV batteries and therefore entire cars, simply because there's no information from the manufacturers on whether superficial damage affects the performance or a fire risk. Battery suppliers and car makers need to pull their fingers out and provide the answers to repairers and insurers. Meanwhile, the battery industry and car makers need to work together on cost-effective battery exchange programs so EVs can be repaired quickly and cheaply, with potentially compromised batteries returning for repair or recycling. Number 3, car crime. This has got real bad recently, especially in areas like where I live. The amount of people reporting stolen cars is scary, and the way these thieves are doing it is also even more scary too. They can literally be done in minutes, if that. Leaving our borders unguarded and our streets unpoliced has created a perfect condition for gangs of thieves to ply their lucrative trade. Police forces and the government need to make it car crime an urgent priority and resource the fight back accordingly. It is not a victimless crime, and the police should be held accountable with more transparency and better data around the grounds for their failure to properly investigate the majority of car thefts. I mean, this is the bad one. Like I said, that it is a victim crime. There is a victim to that. There is the owner of the car. Doesn't matter whether you're a multimillionaire or an average George on the street or whatever. You're gonna feel that, and it's not just the actual monetary value, it's also the emotional damage too. You'll be looking over your shoulder constantly. It's just not fun really when it comes to that. So there's got to be something more done with that. Maybe this is just my suggestion here, maybe if the police reallocated some of the resources that are being used to catch speeders, that is more of a victimless crime, usually. Not always, of course, but usually it is. Every car theft is a victim-full crime. There's always definitely one involved at least. So that's just my suggestion. The police is looking in the wrong areas and probably going for the easy things, such as catching people doing a 36 and a 30. That's easy. Catching car thieves is more difficult, admittedly, but if you don't do anything about it, they're just going to keep doing it. For them, it's a riskless crime almost at that point. Number 4, address repair shop costs and the skills gap. We can't do much about the rising cost of power, parts, adhesives and paints, and whilst highly skilled technicians deserve decent wages, but the government should do more to attract young talent and reform the apprentice levy. Freeing firms to spend more on upskilling employees, insurance group ratings should be raised for more models or brands with onerous repair damage to incentivize simplification. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, as someone who trained to be an engineer, I will say that it is particularly difficult out there. There is a lot of people doing that. There's a lot of people training to be that, but there's very few that go into things such as being an actual technician for a car or a garage. It's a very rare thing, and it shouldn't be that. It can be something that is very lucrative, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem that incentive there. I'll be honest, it just doesn't seem to be there really. At least when I went through uni like 5-10 years ago, And the last one, government regulatory action. As car insurance becomes increasingly unaffordable, it affects the quality of people's lives and social mobility, as well as national productivity and economic growth. The Financial Conductive Authority oversees car insurance, and while we think an investigation is needed into whether the market is working to the advantage of consumers, while drivers can often shop around, the fact that insurance is required by law means they should be offered cost-effective options. Underwriters spreading new and unquantified risks across the general insurance market instead of targeting the source of the risk seems unfair and unjustified. These things are always passed on to the consumers, and it's never fair. It's never fair. I'm not a fan of that at all. Like I said, EVs and stuff like that, you can't be putting the cost onto other people. I think that's so unfair personally. But that's just my take, guys. That's my opinion on all this. And I feel like Auto Express has nailed it here with the recommendations. All of that would go some way to doing it. But is it going to happen? No. No way it's going to happen. Honestly, you're just dreaming at that point if you think this is all going to happen. This makes perfect sense. So therefore, the government won't do it. Doesn't matter whether it's Labour or the Tories that in power. It's never going to happen because of reasons. And I'm not going to get into that. That'll be a much longer video. But yeah, those are some steps that the car insurance market could take to actually fix all this. So shout out to Auto Express one last time for covering this. I think it's a very big issue and it should be highlighted more personally. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see some more videos on this. Like I said, I did one earlier on as well going over why insurance is so expensive. This one's been going how we can actually fix it. So yeah, your thoughts in the comments below, guys. As always, if you've got any ideas, I want to hear it. And of course, keep it subscribed to themotoringchronicle.com to see much more content on the world of motoring just like this. Have a good one, guys. See you soon.